So I was Michelangelo, the artistic flow coming from STL mode. The legendary shows, I knew I'd be a star, but little did I know it wouldn't be from bars. See, that's the big league, the radar online. I wasn't the undefeated, but I still was gon' shine. I took a few L's, took them shots like Pop, but then I got my weight up like Jason Whitlock. Pivot like Brian Clark, skipping Bailey, Shannon Sharp. Don't have to scream like Stephen A to get my point across. Climb Jamel Hills, won carry championships. They were quick to pull the gun, hoping Rob would quit. But 15 years later, Rob still the shit. Rob still legit. Rob still on everyone's pound for pound list. Rob is courtside, Rob is ringside. Catch Rob outside at the 50-yard line. Don't act surprised, Rob is a winner. George Steinbrenner cooking up these headlines. What you want for dinner? The Black Sports Center, you know who I be. Triple OG, the Ohio State University. That's who reps me. I'm love for a friend. I just murdered this track, call that a dead spin. The headline king is back. I hope that you guys listened to my advice from yesterday and made it home safe and sound from your tricking and treating and whatever nefarious things you do on Halloween, because it's become that type of holiday. This is Headlines with Robert Littal, and we have a big headline to talk about today. The hoax that is Joe Smith, his wife, and OnlyFans. I cannot take credit for this. I cannot. I'm not one of those people that steals credit. I'm not one of those people that see a press release and then act like I got sources when you just saw the press release like everybody else. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to take full credit for this. You know why? Because when we did the first original story on Joe Smith, the video of him being upset at his wife because she started an OnlyFans account, a lot of people came to me in a lot of different ways and a lot of different mediums. They hit me up and text and DMs and at messages on all the different social media platforms. A lot say, hey, Rob, this seems fake to us. This seems like a skit. This seems like a hoax. Something seems right. As one user said, this looks like fifth grade acting job. At first, I was like aghast by this. Like, no way someone would actually embarrass themselves like this on a national scale just for some attention, just for a few more subscribers on OnlyFans. Surely no one would do that. But then I put on my journalistic hat. I did a little research. I started digging deep. I started reaching out to some real sources to figure out exactly what was going on here. And very quickly, and it didn't take long, and it wasn't very hard, to be honest with you, I found some people that are close to Joe Smith, close to his wife. They confirmed to me that the entire thing was a hoax. And at first I'm like, hey, look, I can't just go on here and be like, it's a hoax. I need some information. They literally told me that someone had, reached out to TMZ, who the person that I guess is orchestrating, who's helping them with the entire hoax, and that, the wife would be on TMZ later in the day. And this was hours before that even happened. And then come to find out, I see TMZ promoting the interview. She's fake crying about Joe leaving the house. It's all BS. It's unfortunately just a big hoax. And why are they doing this? That's probably the question. Well, it's simple. Cash. Cash rules everything around me. Cream. Joe Smith has been very public about this. I'm not telling you something that you don't know. You can use your Googles. Joe Smith blew through all of his $61 million that he made in the NBA. Every single dollar of it, every single dime of it. He blew through it. It's no longer in his possession. He does not have that money anymore. I'm not saying that he's like broke, like, Johnny down the street broke, but I am saying that he is not a millionaire like he was when he was playing in the NBA. Also, his wife, as she pointed out accurately, I would say, she used to have a career as a singer and maybe what most of you know as, not singing. She also had a career as a adult film star in over 50 movies. Like I told you guys yesterday, I did some research on NYDP Blue. I wouldn't call her a legend. She was very similar to Joe Smith. She was a journeywoman in the porn streets. She was a solid vet. She was PJ Tucker, of the porn, industry. She wasn't Steph. She wasn't KD. But she mapped out a good career, for herself as a sixth man. I don't know if I would call her Lou Will, maybe Lou Will of the porn industry. But the fact is now, she's in her 50s, and she had an OnlyFans account. And the thing about OnlyFans is just like anything like TikTok or Instagram or whatever you want to talk about that can make you, or Twitter that can make you any type of money and things of that nature, is that the top end of the OnlyFans, they do make a lot of money. The top, and this is societal actually, the top 10% of OnlyFans women, make a ton of money. Like, definitely can make, if they play their cards right, generational wealth type of money. But there's the other like 90%, they make, $40, $100 a month, maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000, the extra $2,000 is okay, but they're not making, generational wealth, fancy vacations, fancy cars, type of money. And she was in, that category. So I don't know who came up with the plan. I don't know if it was Joe, this person that was helping him, or the wife, but someone came up with the plan that the way that we can generate more subscriptions for her OnlyFans, and B, get our name back in the mainstream media, is to concoct this thing where Joe, who obviously has known that she was a porn star, he's known her for almost a decade and a half, clearly knew that she had an OnlyFans account because she had the account for over 1 year. That's another thing that we found out, that it wasn't just started. She's had the account. Someone concocted this plan to get Joe and his wife, because of the way society works, to get them trending, to get them in the news. They made sure the story got out to the right people that would push it, and then make sure it then after the independent media pushes it, that the mainstream media picks it up. That's just the way it goes. And their end goal, from what I'm being told, is to get on a reality show, basketball wise, Love and Hip Hop, I don't know, Southern Charm. I don't know what all these different reality shows is. But the reason they want to be on these reality shows is twofold. One, that is an income, so you get a salary for being on the shows. But maybe more importantly, if you notice, the people on Love and Hip Hop and basketball wise, they do a lot of club appearances. They do a lot of things where they get paid just to show up. They become quote unquote influencers. They get paid for their Instagram posts, paid to do TikToks or whatever it is. So their idea or their plan was to use this to get a lot of attention. Hopefully a TV producer sees this and like, hey, we put Joe and his wife on. It's a built-in dramatic storyline that we can put in. They get them some income because they don't have any money. And, then they can filter this out to something else. Now, let me just say this. Yes, it's a hoax, but they're not stealing money from anyone. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like a Ponzi scheme or some of the other stuff that you've seen in the news. Nobody is forcing anybody to go to her OnlyFans. Nobody is forcing a TV producer to put them on a show. It's just fake. That's really all it is. No crime is being committed. It's just fake. And it's working because, you go 2, 3, 4 days ago and type in the name Joe Smith, what you're going to see is the fact that, he blew all of his money. That's really the only thing that came up, and there was no new news story about him. His wife, she was on, I think, Say Yes to the Dress, but there's not much available on her. You do it now, you see them on TMZ, you see them in the New York Post, you see it in, I saw it on Yahoo or USA Today, you see it on BSO, you see it on a lot of different platforms. So they've got more attention, and they've been married for like, I think a year and a half. They've got more attention the last like week than they've gotten in their entire, marriage. And they hope that this will end up leading to a reality show. And I'm not hating on them. It's a plan. I don't know, if I'm Joe Smith, I don't know if I would, want to be embarrassed kind of like that in the streets, but I guess you got to do what you got to do when the rent is due, when the mortgage is up, when the car payment and the child support is hitting. So, yeah, we broke that story. It's a hoax. Whatever you see going forward, just know it's fake. I don't know if they're going to come out and admit it, come out and admit this was all, part of the plan or anything, or they're just going to keep rolling with it. It appears that a lot of people still believe what's going on. And that, in the end, that's kind of all that matters. But if they do show up on a reality show, or they get their own show, or they make a podcast, any of that stuff, just know that it was all concocted and planned out from the beginning. What we got next on the headlines? The Ohio State University, #1 in the first college football poll. It makes a lot of people upset. They don't like when Ohio State is at the top. But it was simple, and I'm not saying this just because I'm alumni and obviously I'm always going to root for my team to be at the top. But I'm also very clear-headed about what type of team we have each year, what the chances are of us actually winning the championship. Simply put, these rankings are nice to argue about, it's nice to debate about, it's nice to get into friendly conversations with your friends from Michigan and Georgia, Florida State, Oregon, Washington, all of that stuff. But in the end, the way the college football playoffs is now, the initial rankings really mean nothing. Actually, none of the rankings probably mean anything until the last 2 or 3 weeks of the college football season, is because by that time, everything is kind of very clear. We only have 4 teams. We're very clear on who can get in and who can get out. And so the reason that Ohio State is #1 at the moment is simply because we've actually played some actual good teams, whereas Michigan, Georgia have not. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Now, Georgia and Michigan obviously will play some better teams toward the end of their schedule, and Georgia will have to go and play in the SEC championship game, which is going to be tough. Michigan and Ohio State obviously play each other, so it really doesn't matter what the ranking is at the moment. Michigan has to play Penn State, and then they have to play us, and then they have to play a Big Ten championship game. So they're going to have 3 games, with a really, kind of high ranking of people. Maybe the team that has a little bit more of a beef is Washington. Washington say they have a better win against Oregon than any win that Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State, for that matter, has. Oregon is coming up, fast. They played Washington. That was tooth and nail. Could have went either way, and it was on the road. It looks like the way it's going to flesh out, at least in my opinion, is that obviously the Michigan-Ohio State winner is going to get in. Georgia is likely going to get in unless they slip up. I would say if they lose to a one-loss SEC team in the SEC championship game. So if Alabama or whoever else is up there slips them up, then that team can actually. So whoever wins the SEC championship, if it's a one-loss team that's going against Georgia, would get in. Washington needs to stay undefeated, but they have a gauntlet of games that they're going to have to go through. Same thing with Oregon. They have a few other good games. There's teams like that's kind of floating in the background. Florida State may have the easiest road because the ACC is not great. So assuming that they stay undefeated, I can actually see a scenario where Florida State could end up being like the #1 seed overall in the thing. But in the end, it's probably going to be Florida State, Georgia, the SEC championship. Well, Florida State, Georgia, whoever wins between Michigan and Ohio State. And it just kind of depends. The 4th one always depends on if the Pac-12, RIP to the Pac-12 next year, if they can have either one-loss team or a team that's undefeated, then they get in. If it's a 2-loss team, like what happened last year, then someone like Ohio State or Alabama or somebody else can maybe slide in without, or Michigan, even if they didn't win their conference championship. All of this should be corrected once we go to 12 teams, because what people always argue about when you talk about expansion and stuff is they say, well, you have this argument about, who's the 4th, 5th, 6th best team, but you're going to have the same argument on who's the 12th, 13th, 14th, etc. But just think about this logically for a minute. It's much better that we're having an argument on who's the 13th best team and their chances of winning the national championship than the 5th best team and their chances of winning the national championship. And we had a 12-team playoff right now. And I'm just going off the top of my head because I don't feel like opening my email. But, you would have Ohio State, you'd have Michigan, you would have Oregon, you'd probably have Washington, you would have Alabama, you would probably have Georgia, you have Florida State. Maybe you would have, who else would you have? You probably have Oklahoma in there. So maybe Texas, maybe Notre Dame. That's 10 teams, right there. Now, you're not telling me that wouldn't be interesting, to you? Of course it would be. So you war to 12 teams thing. Hopefully get that taken care of next year with all the realignment and stuff. The Raiders, the auto win is a Raider. Yeah, they fired Josh McDaniels after the Halloween party. I don't know if it's like legitimately after a Halloween party, but it was on the West Coast. It was still Halloween. It was around 10 p.m. or so. On the East Coast, the Halloween had already passed. So they got rid of Josh McDaniels, who's proven that he's not a very good head coach. I knew when Jimmy G overthrew Devontae Adams twice by about 30 yards, even though there was nobody around him, that the end was near. This is sad. The Raiders were one of my favorite teams growing up. I remember as a kid, I used to watch, I don't know if any other you guys used to watch this, but before like YouTube and all of the other stuff that we have now, ESPN has, I think they still have the channel. It's called ESPN Classic. And on ESPN Classic, they used to have all of these like NFL videos about like these seasons of like the Super Bowl champions or things of that nature. And I remember I was a kid and I watched when John Madden, before it was on the video game and the announcing, he was a coach for the Raiders. And I remember watching that, and John Facenda, I think that was his name, had that big booming voice that the autumn wind is a Raider, and all of that stuff, and then they just were cool, black, white. Then he grew up in the 90s, and NWA, West Coast and stuff, and they always wore the Raiders gear and everything. So the black and the silver was really cool. And Lester Hayes used to have the Jerry curl and the Stickum, and Mike Haynes and Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson, those guys from like the 90s, and then they won a couple of Super Bowls in the 80s. It was I was a big fan of the Raiders. They were kind of counter culture, and if you're a black person, you kind of always kind of gravitate to counter culture. They're pretty decent in the 90s, and they had one last run in the early 2000s, and man, it's been trash ever since. It's been a good 20 years of trash since then. Hopefully, they got a brother that's the interim coach. I mentioned yesterday, interim coaches always seem to do better than their real coaches. I don't know if they're going to keep Antonio Pierce as the head coach. If not, I'd like them to get Eric Bieniemy. They got to figure out this quarterback situation that never made any sense. Going from Derek Carr to Jimmy G, that's like going from an Altima to a Sentra. It never really made any logical sense. So they got to figure out the quarterback situation. They have talent. I mean, they have Crosby on defense. They got Devontae Adams. They got Josh Jacobs. They have talented Marcus Peters. They have talented individuals. It's just they need to be coached up. So we have to see what Antonio Pierce can do for the rest of the year. But I'll be praying for my Raiders. Don't feel bad for Josh McDaniels. I think he had 4 years left on his deal, multiple millions of dollars left. So he'll probably go back to New England or whatever it may be. So he'll be fine. He can relax for the rest of the year and enjoy his holidays. This is Pippen and Marcus Jordan. They're still in the news. They kind of got pushed aside by Joe Smith. Can't believe they're still together. But so I watched this video. And the video is Marcus talking about how he wants to get married and he wants Michael Jordan, his father, to be the best man. And it's all weird and cringy and stuff. But I'll tell you a secret. And, well, not a secret, but just a thought. It's just something just a feeling that I have. I was watching the video and it's weird and like you would expect it to be that's just weird. And I'm looking at Larsa, right? And I'm looking at Larsa and it appears to me, I could be wrong, it appears to me that she is a little bit shocked that this relationship is still going on. And she seems a little afraid that he actually might want to go through with the marriage, because I think that she just wanted this, because it's just the way she is. You do this for 6 months, you get a little, you get some money, you get some attention, you do a podcast, you make a couple of dollars, and then she moves on to her next victim. That's how she normally rolls. 6 months to a year, that's about it. Not actually trying to get married, just move on to the next young athlete, young baller, next D-League or G-League player, next guy on a 2-way contract, whoever she's trying to get with it. And for whatever reason, I think Marcus was actually falling in love. And she's like, she seems a little shook by it. She seems a little shook by it. Tell me if I watched the video, it's out there. They were on, I think, Pablo Torres's show. Just watch the video when Marcus is talking about the marriages and the works, and I want Michael to be the best man, and all of this stuff. And just watch her face. She's like, oh, shit. He might actually want to seriously marry me. I didn't really want to get married. She's still, she was with Scotty, had the 4 kids, and, she's in her, I want to be, she's in her whole phase. Let's just put it like that. And I don't think she's ready to get out of it right now. So she would get married. Married is serious. That's like, settling down. That's one man. I don't know. Marcus, you might want to rewatch the video and just see. I don't know, brother. Look, if you're happy, that's all that matters. But this is somebody that cheated twice on Scotty with Future. I'm just saying. And he had on Gucci flip-flops. I mean, that's disrespectful. It's one thing for your girl or your wife, in this case, to cheat on you. It's a whole other thing if the man is talking about I had on Gucci flip-flops while I was doing. That's disrespect. Have some decorum, Future. Let's be better than this. Okay? You don't have to say that. That's an unnecessary dig. It's like, okay, you're already smashing the man's wife. You don't have to talk about you in flip-flops. Because if you ever had good, they're not comfortable. They're not comfortable flip-flops. You know what I mean? Like, they're not comfortable. So you just put that out there, just put it out there. It's not a comfortable thing. She's running to your house in Gucci flip-flops. Not a comfortable situation. Subscribe to the YouTube channel BSO TV, where you can catch all of these videos during the week. Also, we're putting it on the podcast every day. Headlines with Robert Littal. You can check it out on iTunes, on Spotify, all of the places. Megaphone, all the places that you get your podcast. Facebook is Black Sports Online. Instagram is BSO TV. Tick in the talking is Robert Littal, BSO. And then also, of course, you can follow us on Twitter X at BSO. Catch you guys tomorrow. I'm out.